Karen secretly films me jogging and shows video to my boss. I recently had an emergency appendectomy, and recovery has been slow. I had to take time off from my own athletics, but worse, from coaching in the kids' sports program I'm involved with. The experience made me step back and realize I really built my whole identity around being active and healthy, so the hit my physical abilities took as a result of being sick plus the healing process has made me feel lost. I've been working to regain the joy I used to experience from exercise, without going, "Oh, you used to be so much faster with that," or "Your technique used to be so much stronger," or "You don't fit in anymore," or whatever else, and just enjoy myself regardless of the level I'm at. But ironically, the anxiety about not being able to do what I used to has made regaining those abilities difficult. It made me self-conscious about exercising in public spaces, but I was starting to finally get over it as friends convinced me the source of the concerns were all in my head. There's no way to get back to it other than training, so despite the anxiety I started running again, as soon as the doctors approved it. I went to the local track and just did a few slow laps each morning, building up speed every few days, and I've only just been authorized to add some sprints and bodyweight strength training to the mix. Occasionally there were other people at the track, but I didn't really notice, because I run with headphones on and try to zone out in these lighter sessions. But little did I know my friends were wrong. It was not all in my head, I was being watched, and more than that, I was being judged. My absolute catastrophe-level worst nightmare at this stage of building back my strength and speed. On Friday I was setting up for practice at the kids program and the head coach asked me into his office because a parent had a complaint. A parent I didn't know too well, Karen, was there and he said she had specific complaints about me. The meeting almost didn't happen because of Karen's initial refusal to put on a mask, required in our facilities for now, but eventually her desire to tell on me for whatever she thought she had me on overrode her freedoms to infect everyone. I was a bit nervous, as anyone is being called to meet with their boss over a complaint, but I figured it was a classic case of my kid should start more, or I know my kid tried out as a midfielder but I want him/her to switch to defense, that kind of rules don't apply to me thing. But instead, I sit down in the office, and Karen is playing my boss a video of me running on the track. That she filmed from afar. It's surrounded by stadium-style risers. I was horrified, both because no one is ever totally used to seeing themselves on video, and because I was just embarrassed about how slow I was. But most importantly because while I was a virtual stranger, I'd met her personally maybe 4 times, ever, filming me while I ran on my own time at a private facility. She then went on to explain that her 8-year-old son, one of the players on my squad, was lapping me in the video and insisting the coaches need to hold themselves to higher athletic standards than the young players if they want to prepare them for college teams. Again, her son is 8. Apparently her son would sometimes be running on the track while her older child was practicing on a nearby field. I never noticed, the kid is still relatively new, and I don't pay much attention to the other people on the track. My boss patiently, but firmly explained to Karen that my physical abilities are not the parents' concern, and all personnel are closely managed by the head coaches who understand each unique situation, and what's appropriate, and that her son wouldn't be impacted. Karen then went on to say my being out of shape was probably connected to why I'd been taking so much time off lately. Technically yes, it is because I was in the hospital, and complaining that the personnel changeover isn't good for the kids. My boss again reiterated that the head coaches hadn't changed or taken any time off, and that I was still one of the most skilled in the area I instruct, so this was not her concern. She asked if there was someone else she could speak to, but he explained that he was the owner and founder of this program, so, no, there was not. I knew my boss was intentionally avoiding saying what had happened to me or even alluding to a health issue, to protect my privacy, but I figured maybe being transparent with her would show her how ridiculous she was being, and keep her tuition dollars in our program during a difficult time for sports clubs. But when I explained, she just turned to the boss and said, "Well, maybe you should furlough her until she's healed and bring on a healthy coach in the meantime, because my son needs someone out there who can keep up with him." My boss respected what I was trying to do but made clear we weren't going further with that strategy to avoid setting a precedent of sharing coaches' personal circumstances. Telling her why people take time off or what their health status may be is not her concern because the program manages that and makes appropriate decisions. She kept kicking up a fuss, but the coach finally told her he had to get back out on the field, back to her son and everyone else's kids. She started physically leaving, but continued fussing about how she was not satisfied and would not be recommending us to other parents. Pro tip: not the way to conduct yourself with the people who make recommendations to scouts concerning family culture/teen interaction. The coach wasn't preparing to leave. Instead, he stopped her in her tracks to tell her if she was found to be surveilling or otherwise harassing any staff members again, she would be permabanned from the program. No games or practices, no team social events, no presence in our buildings, and no clemency. So, that was pretty satisfying. Her son is a good, average kid, and I'm glad the consequences were focused on booting her out rather than limiting his opportunities to have fun playing. So then we went out and had a great, happy, safe practice. This was still a pretty upsetting event for me personally though, and I'll never unsee that discouraging video of me running, but it was ultimately reassuring to know the other staff have my back. Leaving Karen in the dust is just another step on my road to recovery.
Vegan mom yells at me for eating chicken. Before I start this story, it was actually my friend who this happened to, but I'm still gonna be using I and me just because it's easier than my friend, but it's still in his POV. Also, I have nothing against anyone being vegan or vegetarian, I just like eating meat. So I'm in a restaurant and I'm alone, I order no problem and sit down with some chicken wings. I'm sat on my phone while shoving as many down my throat until in my peripheral vision I see a lady staring at me, and talking to someone else while she stares directly at me, but you decided to not make eye contact. This is the entitled vegan mom. I'm almost finished my meal until I hear a,
"Did you know a chicken died for your meal?"
I instantly knew she was talking to me, and here is the way the conversation went down. I'm sorry?
"Your chicken wings. An animal died for your meal. You should be ashamed of yourself."
Yes, I know that an animal died, but I still want to eat it now. I'm sorry, but can you please leave me alone?
This society keeps getting worse and worse. Terrorists, people like you that enjoy eating the flesh of innocent lives. But you can still change to a vegan lifestyle.
What?
I said you can switch to veganism.
This got people surrounding us attention. Please go away.
Excuse me.
I said, please go away, I don't want to talk to you, and not going to veganism just because some lassie who I don't know told me to.
This generation is terrible. How disrespectful it can be to people while I'm just explaining on how your actions affect others.
This made a worker start to head over. I don't care. Go away, worker.
Excuse me, may you two try and keep the volume down, or I'm going to ask you to leave.
He's harassing me and screaming at me while I'm just letting him know the consequences of eating meat are.
Explains what happened.
Oh, okay, I understand. Ma'am, I need to ask you to return to your seat.
Are you really going to believe him?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to leave if you are going to be like that.
Bye. I feel bad for what my friend had to go through.